She once appeared on a Wheaties box, but no Olympic medal could get Caitlyn Jenner the kind of press she has now. Did she literally get away with murder? Here's why the woman who prefers to be called Dad lights fires everywhere she goes.
I got to do it kind of my way that works for me. And I think everybody out there has to do it their way.
Totally.
Which works for them.
Early in Jenner's public life as a trans woman, she upset trans advocates with her remarks about the ability of certain trans people to pass or move through society undetected as trans. While it may be an impossible task for those with less resources, not every trans person wants to blend in. Emily Vanderwerf wrote for Vox, "As trans people, we're supposed to complicate the gender binary, not uphold it. By trying my damnedest not to stand out but to blend in, I'm propagating a system that hurts both trans people and women disproportionately." When Jenner made Time magazine's Person of the Year shortlist, she claimed she focused on her looks to put others at ease, adding, "I think it's much easier for a trans woman or a trans man who authentically kind of looks and plays the role. If you're out there and, to be honest with you, if you look like a man in a dress, it makes people uncomfortable."
If you're going to do that and come out, you really have to look the part.
Attempting to manage the obvious pushback, she apologized in a since-deleted blog post, writing, "People who look visibly transgender sometimes can struggle for acceptance and may be treated poorly by others. And while this may be true, it's also something that needs to change." In her early days as Caitlyn, Jenner made numerous allowances for anyone using her wrong pronouns and name. While it was her personal choice, as Vox noted, she is the highest-profile trans woman in the country, and many were hoping she would speak up on behalf of the trans community.
There's some things that you said that you might not realize are hurtful.
In the article introducing Caitlyn to the world, Vanity Fair writer Buzz Bissinger repeatedly referred to her dead name and openly admitted to calling her dude and man. Instead of making it a learning moment, Jenner told Bissinger, "I don't really get hung up. A guy came in the other day and I was fully dressed. It's just habit. I said, 'Hi, Bruce here,' and I went, 'Oh, it ain't Bruce.'" Since then, Jenner has continued to experience widespread misgendering and deadnaming since coming out, from everyone including Twitter trolls to Saturday Night Live. As ACLU lawyer Chase Strangio tweeted, "When large platforms like SNL deadname and misgender trans people, it legitimizes the notion of transness as spectacle and fraud. It isn't funny, it is dangerous." When she sat down with Ellen DeGeneres, Jenner was asked about her previous lack of support for gay marriage. Claiming she now thought differently, she admitted that she was previously not on board. She said, "If that word marriage is really that important to you, I can go with it, you know?" DeGeneres noted that Jenner still seemed hesitant about her support, adding, "Marriage is marriage and equality is equality." Years later, Jenner confessed to her Big Brother VIP Australia castmates that there may have been a better way to handle the Ellen Show question. But when DeGeneres then went to the media and misrepresented Jenner's answer, Jenner said she considered banning all of the Kardashian Jenners from appearing on Ellen as a result of her post-show treatment. Jenner launched her reality show I Am Kate as an opportunity to explore her identity, and she surrounded herself with trans advocates in an attempt to learn about her new community, but she often clashed with her co-stars, preferring to stick by her conservative views. Claiming that her friends were convinced she now had to become a liberal, Jenner said on the show,
That I think I can keep all of my views the same because I feel in my heart that that's the best way to go.
When writer and advocate Jenny Boylan asked Jenner to look into how some Republican policies hurt the trans community, Jenner refused. Jenner ultimately announced the show's cancellation on Twitter, writing, "Thank you, E, and thank you to the best girlfriends I could ask for." But many of the women on the show, including actress Jen Richards, have since distanced themselves from Jenner. Richards confessed, "I think I've kind of given up on her." Fans of Keeping Up with the Kardashians know that Jenner remains close with her daughters Kylie and Kendall, and while her eldest daughter lives life out of the limelight, Jenner's relationship with her 3 sons appears strained. When she ran for governor of California in 2021, TMZ reported that she had only let her sons know the night before she went public with the announcement. And sources claimed that Brody, Bert, and Brandon Jenner felt she was unqualified to get into politics. The Jenner boys have also spoken in the past about their difficult relationship with Caitlyn throughout their lives. Claiming she was mostly absent, Brandon wrote in an essay via news.com, "Sadly, the infrequent exchanges felt more like staged photo opportunities than real bonding. In fact, they were staged photo ops for family Christmas cards."
What I've learned is just to not expect too much from her.
Brody claimed on The Hill's New Beginnings that he too felt distant from Caitlyn, explaining, "When I was really little, we got to spend a little bit of time. When she started, obviously with the family, the Kardashian family and all of that, I didn't really see much of her." It may be the Kardashian-Jenner way of life, but since her marriage to Kris Jenner ended, Caitlyn has possibly been a little too open about what went wrong. She told Vanity Fair of Kris, "A lot of times she wasn't very nice. People would see how I got mistreated. She controlled the money, all that kind of stuff." But Kris felt the source of conflict was the fault of the opposite party. She responded, "She was married to me and she wasn't who she wanted to be, so she was miserable. All I was doing was working very hard for my family so that we could all have a wonderful future, and she was pissed off."
Did she tell you early on?
No.
Oh, I did too.
She keeps saying she told me, but she didn't.
Later, with the release of her memoir, The Secrets of My Life, Caitlyn once again sparked backlash from the family. She claimed to have previously told Kris about her struggle with her gender, which Kris denies. Caitlyn said they would likely always argue about who knew what when, adding, "She insists that she was taken by surprise by my ultimate transition to Caitlyn. I told her there had been a woman inside me all my life." Of course, the family drama played out for fans.
Everything she says is all made up. Why does everything have to be that Kris is such a bitch?
In 2015, Jenner rear-ended another car while driving along the Pacific Coast Highway, sending the other vehicle into oncoming traffic. The victim, Kim Howe, was killed in the incident. Jenner released a statement at the time to E! News that read, "It is a devastating tragedy, and I cannot pretend to imagine what this family is going through at this time. I am praying for them." According to the LA County Sheriff's Department, Jenner had been traveling at unsafe speeds, but CNN reported that no charges were brought against her. Still, according to the LA Times, a lawsuit from the victim's family was settled by Jenner for an undisclosed sum. Jenner received possibly the most backlash for voting for Donald Trump in 2016, the president who once banned trans people from serving in the military. Claiming she was pro-Constitution and pro-freedom, Jenner also told Seth Meyers of Republicans,
Now, as far as LGBT issues, I got to keep an eye on these people.
But by 2018, Jenner had written an op-ed for the Washington Post admitting to the damage of some of Trump's policies, adding, "I was wrong. He has ignored our humanity. He has insulted our dignity. He has made trans people into political pawns as he whips up animus against us in an attempt to energize the most right-wing segment of his party. This is politics at its worst. It is unacceptable, it is upsetting, and it has deeply personally hurt me." But when Jenner ran for California governor and needed to nab the conservative vote, she was back to talking up Trump. As she told Sean Hannity,
He did some things that I agreed with, some things I didn't agree with.
though she claims she didn't vote for Trump in 2020, she didn't actually vote at all. And she told Fox News that she would support him again if he ran in 2024. Jenner's coming out earned her the coveted Arthur Ashe Courage Award at the ESPYs in 2015. And as part of her emotional acceptance speech, she told the crowd, "I also want to acknowledge all the young trans athletes who were out there, given the chance to play sports as who they really are." But a few years later, during her run for governor, TMZ questioned her about the debate over whether trans girls should be allowed to play on girls' teams. This time, Jenner had a different take. She said, "This is a question of fairness. That's why I oppose biological boys who are trans competing in girls' sports in school. It just isn't fair, and we have to protect girls' sports in our schools." Soccer star and out lesbian Ali Krieger said she was surprised by the answer, telling Variety, "I feel like every kid, including trans kids, should have the opportunity to play the sport they love to play." Jenner's stance evolved even further a few weeks later when she stated on America's Newsroom that when it comes to trans women who grew up as girls,
Trans women who are truly trans, of course they should be able to compete in girls' sports.
in 2021, in the midst of Jenner's political campaign, she flew to Australia. That meant she needed to be granted an exemption for the country's notoriously strict COVID-19 lockdown and quarantine rules. While this allowance might be expected due to her status as an active political hopeful, she drew considerable international ire because of her actual reason for traveling. Starring on the Australian version of Celebrity Big Brother VIP. As one might expect, the move caused a firestorm of controversy. Sky News host Paul Murray noted that some Australians were still stuck abroad more than a year into the pandemic due to the country's severe lockdown. He said, "This is ridiculous. There are literally flights that are returning with 0 people on them because of travel caps, but she can fly into the country." On the day the series cast was announced, Jenner revealed on Twitter that she had already been eliminated from the competition and was back in the US, making the whole thing feel extra pointless. But she still managed to make headlines anyway during her brief appearance, telling her housemates about her former friend O.J. Simpson.
Obviously, he did it.
Comedian Dave Chappelle recently found himself in hot water over the transphobic comments he made in his Netflix special, The Closer. In it, he announced he was Team TERF, aka Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminist. And he also made jokes about a late trans woman he claimed was a friend. Amid the furor, Chappelle visited his old high school in November 2021, where students claimed he was a bigot and that his rants were responsible for the death of trans people. Variety reported that he responded with, "I'm better than all of you." Chappelle blamed cancel culture for the hubbub, and just as predictably, Jenner leapt to his defense. She tweeted, "This isn't about the LGBTQ movement. It's about woke cancel culture run amok, trying to silence free speech. We must never yield or bow to those who wish to stop us from speaking our minds." Like many on Twitter, writer Danny Stewart disagreed with Jenner's stance, posting, "You don't speak for me or any other trans folks I know. Caitlyn, you need to soul search." Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Nicki Swift videos about your favorite celebrities are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.